Welcome, everyone. I'm Coach Nesci with Shooting School Basketball, and you are listening to Meet Your College Hoops Coach. We chat with college coaches to get you an inside view of colleges and their basketball programs. Today, we have a great show for you. We have with us Coach Randie Targalski, the head basketball coach at Elmira College. Coach T has just completed his 12th season as the head coach at Elmira. Prior to his college career, Coach was an outstanding point guard at the University of Rochester for 4 years, and then began his coaching career as an assistant coach, first at Hamilton College and then at New York University. On a personal note, I had the pleasure of working with and getting to know Coach T very well because he was part of the coaching staff that I headed up at NYU during the 4 years that Coach T was with me. So, Coach, good morning, and thank you so much for making time to come on with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great. Coach, could you give us a brief description of Elmira College?
Sure. Elmira College is a small, private, liberal arts college. We're about 45 minutes west of Binghamton, so we're on the southern tier of New York for all the upstaters. About 45 minutes. We're about 4 hours from the city, and we have about 1,000 students. But it's one of the oldest colleges in New York State. We were originally an all-women's college starting in 1855. In 1970, became co-ed, and have a rich tradition and beautiful campus. But yeah, it's a nice little place about 4 hours from the city.
Yeah, and Coach, what, as regards to the student body, the makeup of the student body, as regards to the geographic makeup, where are most of the students from?
We have a lot of geographic diversity. Over my first few years, we had a lot of international students. We have very good hockey teams. So we have a lot of Canadians and European players coming over to play for us. We have kids, my roster specifically, we get guys from, we have Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. We had guys from Florida and California. One of my best players is from Ireland. So we reach out to everywhere we can.
That's great.
Half of our roster is probably New York kids, but the other half is from all over the country. So it kind of lends itself to help us get a lot more togetherness, I guess, because they really have to lean on each other. They're all a little homesick, and they're not. A lot of the guys aren't from right around the corner. So I guess that kind of helps us get closer quickly.
Yeah, and Coach, what about the campus? Like, what kind of a campus is it?
If it would remind you, Coach, of like a NESCAC type of a campus.
Okay.
We have it's a very pretty campus. Our original building, Coles Hall, is still in existence from 1855. It was just actually refurbished about 6 years ago, and now houses our chapel on campus. We have a chapel on campus, a grand room, and then 3 floors of our health sciences classrooms and laboratories, which is actually one of the nicer features of our campus right now. But we spent millions of dollars to refurbish a very old building.
That would lead me to believe that it could be very advantageous if you're able to get prospects to make visits to your campus, and specifically overnight visits, so that they could get an up close and personal experience of what your campus life could be like.
Absolutely. That's our biggest focus and biggest goal when we start contacting prospective student athletes in the summertime, is to get them on campus and get them on campus as soon as possible. And obviously September, October are our best times, even early November. And we give all of our recruits the option of coming early. This way they can maybe play pickup with the guys, or they come once we start practice and see us practice. But it's a beautiful place to come visit, and people are very surprised when they do get on campus. So that is one of our biggest things. They get on campus and they usually really fall in love with it.
Yeah. What would you say then, Coach, staying on the recruiting topic. What would be most unique or somewhat unique about Elmira if you compare it to other schools that you recruit against? What is unique about your school?
We have, we're a very close-knit community. We have very small class sizes. That's one of the biggest plus sizes for us. Most of our classes are 15 people or less. Some of our freshman classes, some of our required courses might get to 20. We have a couple lecture halls, but they're very rarely used for classes. So I think the small class sizes, you got a beautiful campus, and then we only have about 1,000 students. That's like our max capacity. So we can't get lost. Even in our conference, we have some pretty big colleges in our conference, and everyone kind of, I don't want to say everyone knows everybody, but our student athletes are people on campus that people know, and our guys get involved in things outside of basketball, and we push them to do that. So I guess it's a small enough place where you have the opportunity to do a lot of different things besides basketball.
Yeah, and so what would be well, first off, Coach, your conference. You talk a little bit about your.
Yeah, we are a part of the Empire 8 conference, primarily a New York conference. Now that Stevens left our conference last year, so we have Sage College up in Albany. We have Hartwick College, which is in Oneonta, Utica College. Then we travel west into Rochester, which is St. John Fisher and Nazareth. And then south to us, where we have Alfred University, Houghton College, Elmira College, and we're adding Keuka College to the Empire 8. So we'll have 9 in the Empire 8 next year.
Okay. And so with the recruiting, Coach, what are some of the challenges that you face in trying to find, and I'll ask you 2 parts. So what are the challenges in finding quality players? And, if you could somewhat define what quality players are for your program.
Sure. Well, I mean, our biggest challenge, and you kind of touched on it earlier when you're trying to get them to visit, 15 years ago when I was coaching for you, I would call kids up and say, assistant coach from NYU, and everybody kind of knew where that was. I have to explain where Elmira College is every time I try to talk to somebody.
Right.
And a lot of kids will come to campus, and the first thing once they get there, they finally realize, well, I never even knew this existed, or this town existed, and things like that. So one of our biggest challenges is getting kids just to realize where we are and what we are. Once they get to know that, it becomes a little easier. But obviously, we've had we just haven't had a real winning tradition for our program. It's been a challenge ever since they started. We've had little bursts of good stuff, and even since I've been here, we've rebuilt a lot of good things. And part of that's my fault because I schedule teams like NYU every other year and Rochester and places like that. So I'm glutton for punishment there. But but some of the challenges are just getting kids to campus and then just getting them to buy into the vision of rebuilding and trying to become part of something that's fresh and new. And obviously another our biggest challenge is cost. And obviously for every small private liberal arts college now is how expensive it is. And we're not overly expensive, but we're still not inexpensive, to say the least. Quality players, I mean, we're just I'm looking for guys that have high upside potential that we can develop. And that's been one of our focuses since I started. Not very many guys that can step on campus and dominate play. So we want to look for guys that can get stronger, become better shooters, become better all-around players, and want to get better. That are athletic and that show that they can do a lot of different things. We want a good work ethic, and we want a high compete level too. The biggest things are coachability and communication. Those are the 2 things that I focus on with my guys. So being able to be coached and listen, and then their ability to communicate, which translate past college and into their real life world. those are that. I mean, we're looking for quality players and good people. That's been a. We may not have we may have not have won a lot of games over the last 12 years, but I'm proud when we have our academic awards ceremony every year, and we have 2 or 3 guys get an academic award. And we'll have 5 guys make the NABC honors court this year for high GPAs as juniors and seniors. And then the better part is when they graduate and they get those jobs, and they're telling me, "Coach, I'm working now." So
Right.
that's the good
And,
stuff.
yeah, and no doubt, Coach. And the thing about college athletics, our recruits and incoming freshmen and the players in our program, when they come in, the adjustment to college athletics and everything about the college athletics, not just the skill level that you have, or in the physical aspect of playing on the college level, but just the adjustments of the amount of time that you have to put in, and that we put in with these young men. I always said it. If you have quality people, you're halfway there because you have something to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But all this time we spend, and during the season, it's 6 days a week with only one mandatory off day.
Right.
And road trips. Going on the road, as like for example with us, we'd be on the road, as Thursday through Sunday.
Yep.
So going on these trips and having those off-court experiences, they are better when you're taking those trips with quality people.
100%.
And so it keeps us fresh. It keeps us positive. And I would say, Coach, from an outsider's view, I've been very proud of any feedback I always get about Elmira. And as you said, even though the win-loss results aren't what we would want them to be as a coach, but I've gotten feedback, and I know you've had kids from Staten Island even on your roster, and the feedback I've gotten from the experiences that those players have had being part of your program has been very, very positive. And I know we haven't talked on that, but that says a lot because sometimes it's a challenge, when things don't go in the win column as much as you like. It's very easy to be critical. That's always the easy way. By the way, they're critical even if you win. So so either way, but the main gist of it is that if you're in a program and running a program like yourself now for 12 years, which it is 12, correct? Did you just finish 12?
Yep.
Oh, Coach, this is not feeling good for me.
Either.
But that in itself says so much, and certainly excited and proud of what you've done, Randie, and I know what you'll continue to do, for the student athletes at Elmira. It's been great. It's been great to observe it. Coach, what would you say as regards to during the season? All of student athletes are challenged regarding balancing their academics and then their athletic responsibilities. How have you gotten that to work for you guys? You talked about the academic awards that some of your athletes have received. How have you been able to navigate that and be effective with your student athletes?
I never let up on them on their academic stuff. There are no special exemptions for anybody. And from the day one, I've never sacrificed wins with bad grades. You know what I mean? My third year, we brought in a very large freshman class to try and rebuild, and ran into a couple guys that didn't want to go to classes, and they ended up not playing. And one of the best players I ever had, Chris Cassidy, who was a New Jersey guy, I sat him 41 games out of a possible 100 while he was on campus. His second game as a sophomore was just after our winter break, and he had a double-double. I wanted to punch him in the face because he could have been doing that for a year and a half. And here he didn't play the game since his senior year of high school, and here he is as a sophomore going for 18 points and 10 rebounds. But that's just how it was. And just from that guy alone, I've been able to pass it on to guys. And, and we really focus on our academic performance, and we don't overdo it. We just keep the guys coming in with checking in with my assistants, and we've developed a little culture within our own guys of pushing each other and making sure they're doing
Uh-huh.
well academically. But we try and make sure that they're busy and active on campus, and I think that sometimes helps because it's not
Mhm.
just if I get one of my guys working in the dining center or working with student life and res life and working in the library, if they're all spread out all over, there's more eyes watching them, and we make sure that
Right.
that they have more people pushing them as well. And just seems like the more busy they are, the sharper they are with all their work and their time management.
Right.
Um, they're not just sitting around all day playing video games or just being bored. So Elmira College is definitely a place that you need to be active. It's not like being in Washington Square Park where you can walk up 3 or 4 blocks and be doing something different. And uh,
Right.
I mean, you're in Elmira, so there's some things to do depending on the season um, and how the weather is. But when you're on campus, you're there to be involved on campus. I think that's more what we're trying to push. So, and then we work with their class schedules. Our older guys, when they're getting more into their majors and more specific classes that they have to take,
Mhm.
some of them are stuck at night. So we work with their class schedules. We work around things like that, so they're not sacrificing their academics for us. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Do you have a set practice times, coach, or does practice revolve around the class schedule? So it might change day, from not the same time every day.
Yeah, we revolve around the class schedule. So like this past term, I think on Mondays we were 4 to 6, and then on Tuesdays we would be 3:30 to 4:45, and then Wednesdays we would be at 9 o'clock at night,
Hmm.
uh, and then Thursdays we'd be back at 6 o'clock at night. Um, Back in the first semester, we had a couple 6 a.m. practices twice a week, just because it would be easier. I mean, early in the season, it's better for everyone to be there, and we're implementing things then. But later in the season, we can shorten practice and work around some things just because we're in the middle of games and we can shorten practice. Um, but we do a lot of small group workouts during the day with my assistant or myself, so we can
Hmm.
sacrifice maybe the team being together for 2 hours. We can maybe be together for an hour and 15 minutes and then bring them in for an hour during the day and shoot and do that stuff then. This way, when we go to practice, we do. So we've had to get creative with our practice times and our the meet of practice too, just what we're doing at practice, just to satisfy their academic needs.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, at NYU, we
Mhm.
had to do the same thing, and
Uh-huh.
uh, you know, at NYU, it changed over the years, and we used to have set hours. When I first started as an assistant, we'd go 4 to 6:30, Monday to Thursday. Friday we'd go earlier because there was very limited classes.
Right.
Uh, but as like the years we worked together, we probably practiced all over. I don't. Did we
Oh,
ever
yeah.
practice in the morning, like early mornings those years? We probably did.
Mhm.
I, I,
Every
I
now and then we would, but we definitely fluctuated between late night and
yep.
early, and Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we definitely utilize weekends as much as we possibly could, which we do here now. So a lot of times our off day will be a Monday or a Wednesday, just because of that's just a busy class day. It's not even worth it to practice that day.
Right, right. And, the high school kids are, until they get involved, I guess, in starting to look at the potential of playing on the college level, um, really wouldn't know that, for example, our rules in Division III are, the mandatory 1 day off during school sessions,
Right.
so that going 6 days a week, practice games, so to speak,
Oh yeah.
uh, which is different for them. And they don't get that. Um, at this time of the year, Coach, I know like right now we're facing a very atypical off season, but what would the typical off season be for your players?
Well, like I was told you earlier before we started recording. Our academic calendar goes on two 12-week terms, and then we actually have a 6-week spring term, which is where we're in week 3 of our term 3 right now. Typically during term 3, they have classes, and they only have 1 or 2 classes during this time. It's a pretty easy time of year for them.
Mhm.
Wednesdays, there's no classes. It turns into intramural softball day on our campus on
Okay.
Wednesdays. So from noon till 7 o'clock, we have a big plot of land in the middle of campus right next to the pond. Or there'll be 300 students out there just watching softball all day. And then
Nice.
Sundays are basically the same thing. Term 3 is also a really good time there's a lot of study abroad trips. So they go to the Bahamas, Australia, different places like that. So for athletes, that's actually a good thing because they don't have to sacrifice a half of, the first half of their season or the second half of their season. They can just go during term 3 at our
Right.
place. So we're fortunate with that. So, but if they're on campus during this time, our guys are going to class, for that 2 or 3 hour session that they have that day, because it's a very intensive course. Then we're bringing them in we have a strength coach at New York Sport and Fitness, which is a huge health club right about 2 blocks away from our campus. And that's actually our strength and conditioning room now. So
Oh,
our guys will be there 4 or 5 days a week working out. In the past, during this time, we have the guys arrange their own 3-on-3 tournament. They'll have like a regular season and play 3-on-3 tournaments. They'll play some pickup ball, and then we've paired them up to do their voluntary workouts,
okay.
shooting workouts, ball handling, things like that. So we try and keep them as busy as possible while they can still enjoy their time during this
Yeah.
time.
And what about you and your staff, coach? Like what are you involved with team as far as basketball goes?
Basketball, we'll draw up some of their plans for these guys. We have some specific
Mhm.
things that we want them working on. Being the degree, we can't go in the gym and do it with them,
Right.
which is tough, but we can make plans for them and diagram things and show them things that we've done during practice that we would like them to do now. We're obviously still monitoring their academic work, and then we're obviously planning. We're hopefully planning for the summertime recruiting,
Right.
which
Right.
events to attend and things like that. So, and obviously the equipment maintenance and all that. So we don't have an
Got
equipment room here. So we inventory and monitor our own equipment stuff. So
Okay.
we're checking on all that stuff. And unfortunately, normally camp time is we're big on camps up here too. So
Yeah.
that's been put on hold because of this COVID-19 as well. But typically May is actually a pretty busy month for us as far as
Okay.
getting ready for the summer and getting ready for next year.
With your vast experience, coach, as a head coach and assistant coaches, obviously you've gone through so many seasons. Could you pick out, maybe one season that was, special, and could you give us some background to that season? What made it special?
I've had quite a few. I've had, my first 5 years at Hamilton, we had a couple magical seasons into the Sweet 16, and with you, we had a couple magical seasons just with very talented teams, and even my fourth year, my last year with you was we weren't as talented as teams before, but we had a very successful year with the guys we had. It was a
Yes, we did.
young group, and they came together and they competed and probably did a lot more than you and I probably thought they would back at the beginning of the season.
Yes, it was a
And
good year.
and the fun part was those guys developed even more after I left and had more success. Obviously, some pieces were added to them, but I think those young guys, the freshmen and sophomores on that team, learned a lot. And I took some pride after I left and seeing how much better and how much more success they had.
Sure.
And even since I've been here, we haven't had a lot of wins and losses, but we've had a couple double-figure wins seasons where this college hasn't had many of them. And it's just fun seeing the teams come together and realize how much work goes into being a successful team, how much sweat during the off season, weight room time, shooting time. That's the stuff when all of a sudden the light bulb clicks on their collective faces, and then all right, well, we could be pretty good, barring injury, which we ran into some injuries a couple times, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I've been fortunate to be a part of some pretty good teams, and obviously the Sweet 16 year when I was at Hamilton College was a really special one, and like I said, that was one where the group came together and physically were prepared, and mentally that allowed them to mentally be prepared, and the confidence level rose, and really you could just tell we were never going to be out of a game, and knew going into every game we were going to win, or we had a chance to win, and
Yeah.
we had,
And one little bit of trivia that no one else would consider trivia, Coach, I would tell you, is that I think as you know, I coached for 30 years.
yep.
I think that I've only had 3 seasons where we ended the season with a win,
Mhm.
because I think about 24 of my seasons we played in the postseason.
Yep.
So a couple of the years that we weren't in postseason, we wound up winning our last regular season game. I think that happened like twice.
Mhm.
And then any of the postseason years, including the year we played for the national championship and lost in overtime, we ended in a loss.
Yep.
And then we played for the ECAC championship or in the NCAA tournament, and we came in second in the ECAC like 3 times, and lost in the NCAA tournament, round of 16, round of 32,
Yep.
National championship game. But you were one of the year we won the ECAC championship was one of the years we finished with a win.
Finished with a win.
You were with me on that staff.
That's right.
That might be a trivia question someday. Right now, I don't think it is, but maybe someday, Coach.
Yep. And these days, and the record we had, and the conference record we have had that year, that if nowadays that team probably would have gotten an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament.
Well, as you remember, Randy,
Yep.
I'm sure you would remember, is that by no prompting or research done on NYU's part, but as it turned out, we were the last team out. The first team out, because they actually sent us an invitation to the NCAAs and then had to pull it back. But the best thing about that was I did not let it out to the seniors or anything, even though I was called, as you know.
Yep.
The AD called me and said, "Congratulations, you're in."
Yep.
And I was like, where are you getting that? So, yes. But,
Yep.
Coach, we could go on quite a bit off tangent, off topic, but this was a tremendous, I feel, tremendously valuable to students and their families who are going to be researching colleges. I appreciate your time, Coach, and certainly look forward to following you in the upcoming season. I wish you the best of luck, and thanks again for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Coach. I appreciate it. Great seeing your face.
Same here, Coach. All the best.
You too.
Thanks.